So you're welcome back to this part of the Sunday's class video. Once again, my name is Amari Chile, and we're going to learn the following for Sunday. The first one is JavaScript functions. So we'll learn what functions are: JS conditionals, JS loops, JS higher array method, then power of algorithm. So the algorithm is going to help us to see how we can connect all these fundamentals that we have learned for Saturday and Sunday, to see how we can use them to solve real life problems. So that will help us to actually understand these fundamental topics, how important each one of them is. So the first one is JavaScript functions. So a JavaScript function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. So that's what a function is. So it performs a particular task. So it doesn't do more than one task. So that is what a JavaScript function is. A JavaScript function is a block of code. So this block of code here are JavaScript statements. So you can take a statement to achieve a task. You can take 10 statements, you can take more. But the entire aim of a function is to perform a task. And when that task is completed by default, that is the end of the function. So with functions, you can reuse your code. So that is one of the uses of functions. So you can reuse your code, as we'll see in a moment. So functions parameters are listed inside the parentheses in the function definition. So parameters are the values you hope to receive when you're calling the function. So it's like is the values we put inside the parentheses when we are creating the function. The function arguments are the values received by the function when it is invoked or when it's being used. So the arguments are the values you put inside the parentheses when you are using the function. Parameters is when you are creating. Now inside the function, the arguments or the parameters behave as local variable. You remember earlier we learned about global and local variable. So we say that the global variable is accessible by the local variable, but the local variable is not accessible outside the block or outside the scope of the local variable. So that is what a function is. So in the field of programming, there are two levels of advanced programming. So we have the functional programming and the object-oriented programming. So if you use functions as a means of organizing your code, more of functions, you're getting toward functional programming, and it's quite nice because for any bit of code you know you use more than once, you put inside what? A function. Then object-oriented programming uses more of classes. And you know, inside a class we have methods. So we're going to learn more about those things in a moment. So how do we create a function? So let's do that. So let's go back to our VS Code. So again, I have functions. So we want to learn about two ways of creating a function. So the first method is with the function keyword. Second method is called the arrow Now this has to do with this method was part of AX6. So let's say we want to create a function. So what is the syntax for creating a function? So you have the function keyword for the first method, then you have the function name, then you have the parentheses, then you have your parameter. I say parameter 1, you have parameter 2, so just like that. So when you've put that amount of parameters you want, so you can enter the block and put your code block. So this code block, they are the series of instructions you need to carry out the tasks that the function needs to perform. So this is the function declaration using the function keyword. Now let's look at the arrow function. So the arrow function is declared like you're declaring a normal variable. So I can have const, then I have my function name is equal to, then I have my parameter 1, I have my parameter 2, then you put your arrow. So you notice it's like arrow. You have your code block. So in a short while we're going to see the advantage of this over this. So we're going to see their pros and cons. So let's declare a function that with any of these methods. So the first one is, say, function, which is the function name, greets user, so that's the name of the function. Then consider log in string good morning Mr. Chile. So that is the function. Good morning Mr. Chile. So that creates the function. Now the same function, let's convert it to the arrow function method. So I'll say const greet user user2, then this will be equal to, remember the structure is above, then I have my parentheses, for now there's nothing inside, then consider log good morning Mr. Chile, again, so something like that, just to make it different. So you notice these are functions. So it's either you declare it using the function keyword or you declare using the arrow function method. So that is for that. So now let's try to run this code. So let's see if you're going to see the function output. So I'll open this on my live server. Open here, make sure I minimize, then click here, make sure I minimize, drag, and this guy has grown so big. So let me start from this end, minimize, okay, so that's okay. So now I need to inspect. Go to my console, and refresh. So I'm seeing the last one, which is Chile. So So you notice I'm not seeing this. So that is because when you create a function, it does not automatically call itself. So like the nickname I give to functions, they are not busybodies. So the fact you've created them doesn't mean they will call themselves. So they only wait for you to call them before they will start their work. So how do we call or invoke a function? So calling or invoking a function. So the syntax for that is this. So you want to call or invoke a function, you need to know the function name, then you must add a bracket, then the arguments. So you must pass the arguments. Notice there's an S there, so it can be more than one, and if it's more than one, you separate it by a comma, just like the parameters. Okay, so now we know that. So let's call this one. So greeting, so greet user, I invoke it. So now once I save, I'm going to see the output now. Good morning, Mr. Chile. So on the same vein, if I change this one, shift alt arrow down, change this to 2, I'm going to see this. Good morning, Mr. Chile again. So that is how we create a function, and that is how we call the function. Very, very easy. So now the next part we want to move to is dynamic functions. So a dynamic function is one that can change depending on the parameter you pass. So if I have my greet user, so let me show you what a non-dynamic function looks like. So if I duplicate this into 4 times, so you see I'll see the same result. So it's not dynamic. So let's say I don't want to greet Mr. Chile, maybe I want to greet Mr. John, Miss Joy, or something like that. So how do I make it dynamic? So we have to go back. So let's create a new function. So we can use any of the function now. So function, then sum. So sum any 2. So the name of this function is to sum any 2. So I need some parameters A and B. So now I need to sum 2 numbers. So I'll do my console.log. Remember our operators, so it's time to apply them to sum 2 numbers A plus B. So that is how simple it can get. So if I save this, of course you will not see the output because we've not called it. So to call this function sum any 2, I pass in any 2 numbers. So any 2 number can be 2 plus 5. And 2 plus 5 will give us what? Remember, always learn to predict the expected results so that you become the compiler. That will help you understand or reason in JavaScript. So this should give you 7. So if I do this, I'm going to see 7. So if I come here and make this 12, so what do you think this is going to give me? 17. Very nice. So if I bring this down and make this 15, so what do you think this will give me? That will give me 27. Yes. So let's see. So notice any 2 numbers. So if I want to add 3 arguments, this will not throw an error, but it is not, we did not make room for it there. So the 3rd number you pass is meaningless. So that is how it is. So just a moment. just brought the light some minutes ago, so I have to change. So you see how easy the function is. So that is how we make the function dynamic. So you see the same function name, but because of the parameters is now dynamic. So applying this to our, if we want to apply this to our greet user, so you notice I'll put here, I'm going to put here what. So let's say I want to greet another user, so I'll tap this to open this, then I'll put here name. So remember our template literal, so I want to dynamically inject what that variable there, so I'll cut that out. So excuse me, I'll change this to a backtick, then I'll paste this. So I need to change the name to name and this. So now if I want to greet more than one user, so of course I'm going to come here. So of course if I don't add that here, it will show me good morning Mr. Undefined. Good morning Mr. Undefined. So let's test that. Good. So if we don't want it to show undefined, we have to ensure that we handle that error. But we've now learned conditionals, so we'll leave that for later. So in order for me to do that, to avoid that error, I'm going to pass here Chile. So you see that there will be no difference. So you see good morning Mr. Chile. So let's put here good morning Mr. Charlie. So that will be good morning Mr. Charlie. So you see, by passing this, we are dynamically what, changing the value. So the same principle can go. If I don't want to greet good morning, so I can change this to greeting, so it might be good day. But to get the principle, once you put the value there, then you can change it. But there's something else I want to show you. So let's say I want to change the title. So I'm going to pass here title, then so my backtick in my dollar sign title. So if I save this now, the same issue will come. Good morning undefined Chile, good morning undefined Charlie. So how do we do that? So I need to pass in a, let's say here Mr. So that should be in a string Mr. So there's already a full stop here, so don't add that. Then let's assume this is Miss Charlie. So if I save this, I'm going to say good morning Mr. Chile, good morning Miss Charlie. Okay, so then let's now do something else. So let's assume I change here to Mrs. and change here to Mary. So you notice I'm passing the title first before the name. So the reason for this is to prove one point. Does the arrangement of the arguments matter? So if it doesn't matter, then we are going to see it in the same order. Good morning Miss Mary, no, Mrs. Mary. So that is what we are going to see. But if the order matters, you are going to say good morning Mary Miss. So you see it will make sense. So let's see. So good morning Mary Miss. So you see the order does matter when you are passing your arguments like this. So in order for us to avoid this other conflict, what we need to do is, in this second one, we pass it as an object, so obj. So that is just what I want to signify that this is an object. Then what I will do is clean all of this, my backtick. So good morning. So in your own practice, you can also change the type of greeting, whether it's good morning, good afternoon, good day, or a commendation, well done Mr. This. So you can play around with that. So good morning. So the first thing is what? Title. So I'm going to do this, obj dot title, then is the name now. So the name now is obj dot name. Then I have again. So in this instance now, so what Z to break that. So in this instance now, in my user2, all I need to do is to pass an object. So in the first one, if I pass in the right order is name, is what? It's Chile. Then the next one is the title, which is Mr. So I have to put that dot. So why the wave sign there? So I didn't put the key title. So that is it. So if I come down here and change this to title, miss, and I change this to name, and I put Moses. So you notice, if this one is to solve the problem of the order of sequence. So let's see if that works. So this is going to show me the same thing, because the reason for this object method is to make sure that the order of which you pass your argument does not matter. So if you want the order to matter, you pass them normally, but if you don't want them to matter, you pass them as an object. So if we save this, we're going to see the expected result in both cases. Good morning Mr. Chile again, good morning Miss Moses again. So you see, the order does not matter in this instance. So you see one of the applications of using dynamic functions, so you can reuse them again. So the next thing that I want to learn about function is returning values from a function. That's the wrong spelling, function. So let's do that. So let's say I have a function called function times 2. So let's use an arrow function this time. So const times 2 is equal to an arrow function a b, or you can use xy. So I want to times the two numbers, so I'll use the return keyword a times b. So to use this function, I have to do a const.log. So remember, all this while the const.log was inside the function, So that was why we didn't need to add a consider log to see it here. So now the function does not have the consider log inside, so we need to add that. So times 2, so I'm going to times 2 number 9 and 11. Of course, that will give you what? That will give you 99. So if we do that, we're going to see 99. So you see, it works. So we are returning that value. But supposing we don't return this value, so let's change this to let result be equal to this. I'll just end it there. So notice what will happen. We'll not see anything. Just see undefined because it's not returning anything. So if we want to see something, we must put the return keyword result. So in which way, if you don't return something, then you can't get the value. So because of that, so let's say I want to add consider log times 2. I need 2, so I have 55 and 8. Then whatever that value is, I want to add 3. So plus 3. So because this is returning a number, then I'm going to add it by 3. So 55 times 8, that will be a very big number, but if it's 5 times 8, we have 40 plus 3, we'll get what? 43. So this should be around, this should end with 4 or start with 4. So 4, 4, 3. So this will give us 400. Then added with this will give us 3. So you see, that is how the application of returning a number works. Now a word of caution, if I put a consider log after return, you notice that it is grayed out. So that means any code you put after your return keyword will not be executed because JavaScript sees it as the end of the function. So that is why it's even grayed out. So unreachable code detected. So once JavaScript sees this return, it exits the code. So that's a word of caution. So you don't add this. So this code will not be executed. So that is it for function. So we've learned how to create a function, how to make our function dynamic, and how to return values from a function. So now the next thing I want to learn about function is hoisting. So this will help us to appreciate the advantage and disadvantage of using either the arrow function method or the dynamic or the normal function keyword. So what is hoisting? So hoisting is like when you save your JavaScript code for the topics that support hoisting, just like the function keyword. So what JavaScript does is it carries that function declaration to the beginning of the code, then before it starts executing other code. Now the advantage of that is that if you use your function before you declare it, it will not throw an error. But for those topics that does not support hoisting, if you use them before you declare them, there's an error. So let's say, for example, let's look at this variable. So let yy equal to 11. So if I come up here and use and say yy, notice what will happen. So it's telling me uncaught reference error. Now cannot access y before initialization. Now it knows that y is a variable, but it's seen it before you initialize it. So it wants you to do the opposite. You initialize it first before you use. So this one does not support the hoisting. So let's see what if var does that. So let's change this to var. So if I do this, you notice it shows me undefined instead of an error. So var seems like it doesn't have any issue with that, but you don't have any error. So from what we learned about var, we know that it does not respect variable scoping. So this is what the hoisting does. For those topics that does not support hoisting, you must declare a variable before you use it. So let's do the one for the arrow function. So let's declare a function. So now with this in mind, so let's declare a function. So remember, if this was let or const, that will throw an error. Okay, so let's remove that error, comment it out for reference purpose. Then so let's say I declare a variable called, or a function called let subtract 2 be equal to another function a, b, put your arrow. So let's say let it return a minus b. So if I come here and I put console.log subtract 2 11 or 99 minus 33, that will give us 66. So let's see what will happen. So you see the same error, reference error, cannot access subtract 2 before initialization. So you see, because the arrow function is declared just like a variable, it doesn't support the hoisting. So let's also grade this out. So let's declare the same function. So function, so let's say for this same one, I'm going to duplicate that, so move it down, so comment it out. So let me declare a function here. So function subtract 2, then I'll have my a, b, so now return a minus b. So now you notice that I'm still going to see the result, whereas in this one I will not see it because it does not support hoisting, but this function keyword supports hoisting. So once I do control save, the browser rearranges this code so that all the function declaration will now appear at the first here. So will now appear before this var a equal to 1, so that by the time it gets to this line, it's already aware that this guy has already been declared. So not the way you arrange the code that will determine how it will be executed. So if I save this, so you see it's giving me 66. So that is for functions. Then the next thing you need to learn about function is there a difference between method and function? So you've been hearing me saying string method, object method, then now function. So in summary, we can say technically functions and method, they are the same thing, but if you want to go deeper, a method is just a function inside a class or an object. So let's now use the object to also find out another difference between function between the arrow function and the normal function keyword. So let's say here select let user me, so any name can go, equal to, so first name colon Chile, last name colon Amadi. So let's now create a method called initials. So remember the initials of a function, so I can use function here, then I can return in backtick, so I can return username me dot first name, then the index of 0, then another one user me dot, oh I'm doing the same mistake again, so I need to remove this, close this, then yes, exit that, and before I do this again, so user me, so dot last name colon 0. So this will just concatenate, this one will not be CA. So if I come down here and I put console.log user me dot initials, so what will I see? CA. Oh, I need to invoke that, so I forgot that. So if you don't invoke a function, you just see the function, whatever you wrote on the function. So you see it's returning what? CA. Nice. So when you are using this arrow function, this normal function keyword, I can replace this user me here with this keyword. So this now refers to what? This user me, just like I did before, and you still see the same result. So let's do another one. So let's have full name, and again let's have this. So we have our arrow function. So let's do our backtick, so return backtick. So we should have user me dot first name space user me dot last name. So that is it. So if I come here, shift alt arrow down and change this to what? Full name. So I'm going to get what? Chile Amade. So if I do that, I'm going to get Chile Amade. So let's see if we change this to this, just like we did for this normal function keyword, to see if it's going to understand what we mean. So change this to this. So you notice that it showed me undefined, because when you use an arrow function method, the this here does not refer to this object. It refers to the Windows object. So here again you see another difference of using the function keyword and the arrow function. So the function keyword supports
hoisting and the this keyword when you're using them as a method in an object or a class, whereas the other function does not support hoisting and does not support the this keyword. So does that mean that this other function does not have any advantage at all? Well, one of the advantage of this other function is it forces you to always declare your function before you use them. So that way, if I'm reading your code, I'm going to understand the code flow. But using the normal function keyword, because it does not enforce that rule, I can decide to create all my function above or below. So that means for somebody that is studying my code, the person might have to be going up and down, and that will distort the understanding process. Also, using the other function helps to optimize your code, because the browser does not have to shift all the function keyword to the top before it will start executing. So that small fraction of delay can impact on your code. So that is it about functions. So what is one way to apply all these things that you have learned? So all these things that we've learned above, so here is it before this video, which is this. I'm going to bundle them into a function, and I will not call any of them so that they will not execute. So I'll put them here, do my control X, and I'll put function old code. So because I've put it inside a function called old code, I'm not going to see all those definitions again. So you see a nice way we've applied what we've learned, because we know a function can only run when you call it. So now because we're not calling it, it will not run. So that is it about functions. The next one we'll move to conditionals. So just a moment, let me clear my throat. So conditionals. So JavaScript conditionals. Conditional statements are used to perform different actions based on different conditions. So now you remember our operators. We learned about comparison operators, and I said by the time we get to conditional statements, you're going to apply them. So the type of conditional statement is if else, if, the switch, the ternary operator, and the conditional rendering. So let's begin right away. So we'll move to conditional statements. So the first one is the if. So the structure of the if statement is this. So you have your if, you have your condition, then you have your curly bracket, and you have your code block. So let's try to put this into practice. So I have my, so let's age be equal to 17. So we want to write a conditional statement. So if age is greater than 17, that means the person can take alcohol. So if sorry, excuse me. age is greater than what? Let's say 17. I said 17 earlier, so what was I thinking? So consider log can drink alcohol. So if it is true, now let's review. We said the best way to interpret less than and greater than is to start from the part that is opposite the sharp edge. So this is the sharp edge, so you not start from here, you start from the part that is opposite, which is this part. So age is what? Is 17 greater. So for it to be greater, that means age must be at least from 18 up. So because age here is 17, it is not greater. I mean, it should be less than, it should be less than this. So age here is 17 and here is 17, so it's not greater than. So excuse me. So if we save this, you notice that the console will not run. But if you put greater than or equal to, so let's add the equal to there. So remember the truth table. If an or statement, either of it is true, that means the action will be carried out. So this will run. JC can drink alcohol. So now that is your if. You only want something to be done when the condition is true. If something is, if the condition is not true, then no action will be carried out. So but that might not be what you want. So that gives back to the if else. So now the if else now is you want something to be done when the condition is true, and when it's not true you want something to also be done. So if age is greater or equal to 18, then consider log can drive. So the person is up to the age of owning a license. Else consider log against the law to drive. So as simple as that. So if they catch you driving, you've broken the law and you pay for it. So let's see what happens. Is age greater or equal to 18? So let's find out. Is age 17 greater than 18? No. Is it equal to 18? No. So that means to show this one against the law to what? Drive. So you see, but if I make the if I now increase age to like 27, well, this guy here will not run because age is now 27. So okay, 27 is greater than 17 but not equal to 70, so it will still run. So that is what we are going to see. So can drink alcohol, can drive. So I seen it now can drive, but when we left it at 17, it shows 17. It shows that against the law to drive and can drink what? Alcohol. So you see, that is what the if and else if does. You handle two possible conditions, is either true or false, so you handle both of them. So what if you want to handle some more conditions apart from two states? So that is where we migrate or we move to also the importance of if, else if,
then else. So let's say the age is 27. So we say if age is greater than or equal to to okay, I'm thinking of a simple example. So if age is equal to or greater than so let's use the same 18. So consider log can drink alcohol then else if age is greater than 15 and age is less than 17, so we advise the person consider log can drink alcohol in parents presence. So if you must take alcohol, it must be under the supervision of your parents. So maybe a sip of red wine or of beer. So that one is just to familiarize you with the test. So if we do this, so let's say else if now the age is greater than 10 and but the age now is now less than, so what was the last one there, 14. So we'll say consider log can drink Hollandia milk. So the person has not gotten to the age of drinking alcohol. Then else consider log can drink water only. So the person is not authorized to drink what? Alcohol. So you notice this now. So you see that we are handling so many conditions. When the age is greater than 18, yes, the person can drink alcohol. Age is within this one, so just a year to reach alcohol age. So we encourage person you can drink within your parents' supervision, but within this age you can drink Hollandia milk. It's good for you, it's good for your growth, it's good for your bone. Then else can drink water only and perhaps milk. So let's try that. So let's see to show me can drink alcohol, because age now is what? Is 27. So if I make this 7, so of course I'll see can drink water only. If I make this 17, show me can drink alcohol, can drink water only. So let's see. Oops. So it's not showing me this, and why is that so? Because I did not put this in parentheses, so that
the so that I will get the expected results also with this one too. So if you don't put it in parentheses, it will just do whatever it feels is the correct one, and that may not be what you want. So if I do this now, it's meant to show me, okay, let's see, age is 17. I will say and less than. Okay, so it's going to show me, because none of the condition matches unless I put equal to 17 here, and that is when I will see this. So you see, can drink alcohol in parent supervision. Okay, so if I put equal to this, so that it will handle that range too. Okay, so the next one, if I make this 12, so that will show me can drink Hollandia milk. Then what of 2 years child? So you see, can drink water what only. So you see, we are able to handle this entire condition. Now you recall we did a similar thing like this in our operators. So this one is just a range from 15 to 17. This one is just a range between 10 to 14. So that is how you do range. So if it does not fall within this range, it's off. So that would mean false. So you notice at this point in time, only one of the if block is running. So if this one is true, it will ignore all these ones. Only when this one is fail, it fails, it will test this one. This one fails, it test this one. But at this point, only one code block will run. So that is it for the if and else if. So if you're using the if and else, you just remember that your else comes after your else, there's a space before the if. So that is how the if work. Now the next one is the switch statement. So now the switch statement is also a way of handling more exceptions, more conditions depending on a user's input. So to do that, let's begin to learn some of the assignment functions. So let prompt be equal to, okay, let's use key be equal to prompt please enter a number from 0 to 5 or from 1 to 5. So if I come down here, if I do my console log key, then type of key. So if I do this, I'm going to see that after this, quote reference error 450. So there is no comma. So you notice there is this prompt here, please enter a number from 1 to 5. So if I enter 4, it's going to show me 4 is a string, whereas it's a number. And that was what I explained earlier, that whatever we get from an input comes as a number. So in order for us to make it a string, we need to typecast it. So I can put the whole of this, so I'll make it, I can put key here is equal to number key. So this have done the type conversion, which is also casting. So 4 now will not be what? A number. So let me enter 4 again and see it's now a number. So with this in mind, we now have our dynamic variable. Now switch uses strict equality, not normal equality. So a type of string is not a type of what? Number. So if I put my switch statement, so I'll choose switch statement. So the key here will be this key. Then the case here will be, if the case is 2, we'll put that console.log even number. So let's make it more dynamic. So I'll put key is an even number. So that is it. Then the next one will be this, shift or arrow down, not that. So let's say case 3. So this is an odd number. Then let's do the last one. So let's use 4. Let's use 7 is a special number then else consider log no number meaning or no meaning. So this is it. So you notice here I'm using a number because I've already converted it to a number. So if I save this, so we said enter a number from 1 to 5. So let me make this to 5 instead of that. So if I add 3, I'll say 3 is an odd number. So if I add 5, 5 is a special number. So if I add 1, so 1 is not there, so 1 has no what? No number meaning. So that is how it goes. So now the next question is, what is the reason for this break? So now you notice what will happen now. If I comment at that break and I pass in 2, so you notice what I will see 2 is an even number, 2 is an odd number, which cannot be possible. So the break helps it to run only what is here and quit. So how can we do something like a range? Just like we did from here, from 15 to 17. So let's say we want to get a number. So if the user enters 6, 7, 8, 9, so 1. So let's say the person enters 6, so 7, 8, 9, so 6, 7, 8, will say key is less than what? 10. Less than 10. So because there's no break here and there's no output, so if I add any of this number to show me this singular output. So if I add in 7, it will show me 7 is less than what? 10. Add in let's say 5. No, 5 is so 5 is a special number. So let's use 1. So you see that 1 is not captured, so it will show me no meaning. But if I put 9, you see that it will show me 9 is less than what? 10. So this is how we do range in our switch. So you notice now, if I remove this now, so now the type conversion now is no longer there. So that means what we are getting here is a string and this is a number. So remember, switch case uses strict equality. So if I save this now, notice everything I put will be showing me the last one, which is what? No meaning. So let me add 3 or 2 that is there to show me what? No number, what? Meaning. But if I come here and now add it as a quote, then I now add my 2 again. So to show me that now 2 is an even number. So you see, once, so it's easier for you to do your type conversion than adding it everywhere on your case switch. So that makes your code more neater and easier to understand. So that is it for switch. So the next one that I want to take now is the ternary operator. So the ternary operator is the shortened version of if else. So ternary operator. So the syntax for the ternary operator is this. So we have our condition, then you have your question mark. So here is what we run if it is true. Then this is the code I will run if it is false. So remember, from the syntax of this ternary operator, there is no code block. So that means only one line of code you can write, only one statement that you can write. But in this one, I can put something else. No meaning, no number meaning explanation. So if I do this and type in 1, which is not there, so it will show me no number meaning, no number meaning again. So you see, it's showing me twice. But for ternary operator, that can happen. So let's say, so let is go. So let's put this equal to true. So I will not put is go so is go. If it is true, we want to do what? Increment this scoreboard unless we can put so if it is not a go, we'll do what? We decrement or no action. So there might be no action if the go has not been incremented, but if it has an increment, then that will work. So you notice what will show if I put inside a console.log. So Ctrl S, console.log this. So it will show me what increment. So let's see. So we can't see that because this has to be so let action be equal to this. So consider log what? Action. So if I do that, I will see what? So I'm trying to get why this is not working. Okay, it's not working because the quote there has to be what? This one has to be a consider log, so I can easily see that. So I'm not sure if I put a return here if that will work, but let's just fix that by adding a consider log. Increment, then I'll bring this here. So Ctrl X, consider log this. So let's see what shows on the browser. So I don't need this action stuff. So, oh my god, I forgot this loop. My eye just on this other part. I've forgotten this other part. So when I got fed up with the error, that was when I had to look up. So I need to enter this guy. True is not defined, so wrong spelling. True. So if I do that, I'm going to see increment. Nice. So if I put my false, I'm going to see what? Decrement or no action. So that is not no action. So that is it for. So you see one thing about programming, for each instance you must know why it's not working and just looking up helps to solve the issue. So that is what the conditional, the ternary operator. After the condition, then your question mark. So whatever is between the question mark and this column will run if it is true. Then this other one will run if it is false. So let's do another example. So let's say age less than 7. So this is the condition. So let's just put the child. So else adult. So again I've made a mistake. So unless I have to put this inside a consider log. So the consider log if I do this, I'm going to see one output, which is what? Child. So what actually is age? Is it 2? Or age is 2? So that's why it's showing me child. So you see, whatever the condition is, whether it's a boolean or is a comparison operator which also result to a boolean. So that will give us that answer. Then the last one is the conditional rendering. Conditional rendering. So this conditional rendering is the short version of if statement. So the structure of that one is we just use and. So if the left part is true, the right part. If the left part is true, the right part will run. But if the left part is false, the right part will not run. So the structure of that one is still the same thing. So I have your condition and code to run, or let's put action. So to implement this, you can say not is go and also log go scored. So each time is not is go, that means each time it is true. So just an action. So if I put this now, it's going to run go scored. So whereas the action here is actually false, but if I put it here true, so you know see that not is go because the left hand side is not true. So this conditional rendering and the ternary operator, we use them very well in React as well as other ones, but these two are very friendly with React. So let's take the next one, which is loops. So I think after loops we have our higher array methods, then close for the day. Okay, so let's begin with loops. So just a moment. So loops. So what are loops in JavaScript? So loops can execute a block of code a number of times. So let's say I want to excuse me. Loops. So let's say I want to display a number from 1 to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's say 1 to 4, 3, 2. So that means I will have that displayed on my console like so. So I'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can use it manually. I can do this, but using loops I can automate this process. So loops execute a block of code a number of times. So we have different type of loop. We have the for loop, we have the for in loop, we have the for off loop, we have the while loop, and we have the do while loop. So let's learn about the three primitive ones, which is the for loop, while loop, and do while loop. So let's begin. So the structure of
the for loop. So we have for, then the first one is your increment, then have your condition, then have your, not your increment, this is your start point, then the last one is your increment, then you now have your code block. So whatever code you want to run when the condition is still true, that is what we will run here. So let's use this now. So let's create this problem. So the problem is generate a number from 1 to 4, just like we did here. So to do this, first of all, ask yourself, what is the start point? So the start point here is 1, so that's it. What is the end point? The end point here is what? Is 4. Then what is the condition? So the condition now is this. For loop, it will start running the loop when the condition is true, then exit when it is false. So for the condition, we need the start point, then we need the end point. So what do you think we should use here? So one of the, in order for you to make this loop run and stop where it's meant to stop, you need to use either the less than or the greater than. Now how do you know whether it's a less than or greater than you use? If the start point is lesser and the end point is higher, then you use what? You use less than. And why is that so? Because remember, for the loop to start running, the condition must be what? True. So 4 is greater than 1, that is true, so it will run. So but if we put here greater than, 1 is not greater than what? 4, so that will not run. So that is how we do that. Then for it to stop at 4, we need to put our equal to. Nice. Then we have the increment. So now one rule that you can use to get your increment is, if the start point is lesser and the end point is higher, it's like you're climbing a step, so you increment. So that will be start point plus plus. So if we do this, so once you are incrementing, then you use less than or equal to, so less than equal to. But if you're decrementing, you use greater than or equal to, then minus minus. So now that we have these things explained, so we have 4, so our start point can be let I equals to 1, then our condition is already there, so is our I, which is our start point, less than or equal to 4, then I plus plus, then consider log I. So that is how simple it is. So if I save this, I'm going to see 1, 2, 3, 4 again. So that is how we use the for loop. So let's now use the same for loop just to make this point clear, to output a number from 15 to what? To 10.
So again, let's solve this step by step. So ask yourself, what is the start point? So the start point is what? 15. So what is the end point? The end point is what? Is 10. So what is the condition? So the condition has to do with the start point and the end point. So you ask yourself, is the start point greater than the end point? Well, if that is yes, then you put what? Greater. But you notice in this case the start point is lesser than what? The end point. So you use what? Less than. So less than or what? Greater than or equal to this. So the increment, now because the end point is lesser than the start point, so the start point is greater than the end point, so you have to put start point minus minus. Now the focal or the main thing is that the end point is the end point that determines where the loop will stop. So if the end point is higher, then you need to increase the start point. But if the end point is lower, you're going to decrease the start point. So it's all with reference to it, because once it gets to this end point, the condition will fail and it will exit the loop. So that is it. So let's use this one. So we have our 4. So I can use my I again. So let I equal to 15. Then I greater than or equal to 10, which is the end point. Then I minus minus. So consider log what? I. So if I do that, I'm going to see 15 to what? 10. That's nice. So if you omit this, increment, or your condition is what? Wrong, that means your browser will enter an infinite loop and that can crash your system. So be very very careful. So if you're not sure of your condition, a nice way to fix it is what? You add an alert, then add I. So I know that this is just going to run for 5 times. So if it doesn't end at 10, I know that my condition is what? Is 4. So 1, so 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and this is the last one. So notice it stops. So that means my condition is right. So I can remove this alert. So if you're not sure, so even when you're sure, you can add this. So that will prevent you from using a number that is big, so that you not press OK and until you're tired of pressing OK. Okay, so let's move to the while loop. So now the structure of the while loop is this. So you have your start point, that is outside. You have your while, then you have your condition, then you have your code block, then you have your increment. So don't forget this. Forget this, your system will crash. So this is the structure of the while loop. So let's use the while loop to do something again. So let's us increment the number from 20 to 25. So we'll put here output a number from 20 to 25. So again, let's solve this. So you ask yourself, what is the start point? So start point should be what? 20. The end point should be 25. The condition we need the start point and what, the end point. So is it going to increment? Now the start point is greater than the end point. I mean it's lesser than the end point, so that's why we use what? We use less than. Why is that? So because this start point need to increase to get to the end point before the loop will stop. So we put our equal to side to stop at exactly 25, then the increment. And because we are increasing the start point to get to the end point, so we use start point plus plus. So now that we have all these parameters, so we can use our start point. So I can put let j equal to 20. So while the condition is what? The start point j less than or equal to what? 25. Then my code block consider log j. Of course, don't forget your increment j plus plus. So let's see what we have there. So I thought I removed that a lot. 14. Oh, I didn't remove that. So I have 20 to 25. So let me remove that. So that is how easy it is using the while loop. Now it is very easier for you to forget this increment. So always make sure, like I did in the follow, if you're not sure of your condition, you always what? Add an alert. Then if you solve it using this approach, you'll be sure to get the condition. Now if you are unsure of the condition, you can put it inside, like you can put it inside consider log. So remember the condition before it to start the loop, it must be true. So if we put j less than or equal to 25, so that should give us what? True. So because it's true, it is going to start the loop, and because you have your increment properly, then it will surely get to the end point, which is 25, and stop there. So that's just some of the trick. Then the next one is our do while loop. Do while loop. Now let's say I reduce this start point, so it's meant to stop at 25. So let me add this 26. So what do we see? We see what? False, because the condition has been is not false. So the do while loop make sure that the loop run at least once, whether the condition is true or false. So the structure of the do while loop is this. So we have our do. So we can have your start point here, then you have your code block, then you have your increment or decrement depending on the start point and the end point. Then you have your while, you have your condition. So let's use this now to decrement a number. So let's say output numbers from 11 from 22 to 17. So again, let's analyze this. So we see that the start point is what? 22. The end point, oh my god, my hand is freezing. Point is 17. Then the condition, so we need the start point, we need the end point. So now the end point now, so let's see, is, you see the start point is greater than the end point, so because of that we use greater. But if the start point is lesser than the end point, we use what? Less. So that's simple. So we have the increment. So the increment should be start point, but now the start point we are decrementing, so we have to use minus minus. So let's do that. I'll say let u be equal to what? The start point, which is 22. Then do this. So I have the code block, which is consider log u, then u minus minus. So that's increment. Then while now we have the start point, which is u greater than or equal to what? The end point, which is 17. So if I do this, you notice it's going to run to 17. But if I reduce this lesser than the end point, which is which will make it fail, because if it goes below 17 it will fail. So let me add this as 15. So notice it will show me what? It will still show me, what did I do? No. So if I take here to be 15, it will still show me what? 15, because it will start from the start point. I put that one before it will decrement. Okay, so that is it for the while, the do while loop, and the for loop. So the next one is just an intro to the higher array method. So one of the application of this primitive method is we can use them to read the content of an array. So let's say let fruits be equal to, so favorite fruits, so I have apple, banana, orange. So that orange now, so let's say consider log. So let's say I want to get the index of what? My banana. Of course I need my array name, so fruits, then index is what? Is 1. So I'm going to get what? Banana. Nice. So let's say I want to do the same thing dynamically using an array, I mean a loop. So I'll use my for loop. So for loop, the start point of an array is always 0, so let I equal to 0. Increment should be I less than fruits dot length, then I plus plus, then console.log. So if I do my I now, I will see 0 to what? 2. I see. So now in place of this I, which serves as my valid index, so I will now put fruits I. So in the first loop, it will start from what? 0, and 0 has what? Apple. The second loop, 1 banana, 2 orange. So if I do that, I will have apple, banana, orange. So you notice that for this we have to apply the start point, the condition, and what? The increment. But there are some other ones. So if your purpose of using a loop is to loop to the items of an array, we have another one called the for off. So still the same code that is here. I'm going to achieve it using the for off. So for, you have your item, which can be anything, then of the array now, which is fruits, then I'll do my console.log item. So this is going to show me all the items in my array. See them, so it repeats banana. So without having to do the start point, the end point, the condition, the increment, so it just gives you this. So we also have the for in, so that is used to read the properties of an object. So I have the key in user me, remember, then I can do my console.log key. So if I do that, what am I going to see? I'm going to see the first name, the last name, the initials, and the words, and the full name. So if I want to read to the items of that array, I can say my console.log user me, then key. So you're going to show me the value of each of these first names. So the first name is Chile, last name Amadi, initial CA, the full name Amadi Chile. So let's see that. Oh, so I didn't put a dot here. I'm not supposed to put a dot there. So let me save. Oh, the user me, so the user me here, having the key, okay, is returning the items of the object. So it's not actually going to invoke the object, so that's why we're having this. So no issues, we are in order. So you notice that in these other ones, which is using, so make a comment here, using loops to read the items in an array. So you see that this other primitive method, which is the for loop, the while loop, and the while loop, you see that they are kind of longer to write, but these other ones, which is a nice introduction to our higher array method, does not require this long process. So that is it for our loops. So lastly, for this part of this video, we want to look at the higher array method. Now this higher array method, they are used for what? Arrays. So if you want to use loop for any other thing apart from arrays, you can use them, and that's why we learned about the primitive method. But if you want to use them solely for arrays, then you have this higher array method. So we still use a number array just to illustrate the point. So we have our higher array method. So the first one, so let prices be equal to an array of 1, 12, 5.7, 88, 3, 4, 35, 7, 2. So let's just have this. So let's say I want to read the items of this array. So now there's a structure of higher array method that is different from the primitive method. So you see that this order for in and for off, they look like the primitive method, only that they don't have this start point, the condition, and what the increment. They take care of that for you. But for the higher array method, it's quite advanced. So you have your array name dot the type of your higher array method. So is it for each, is it map, is it filter? Then you have your bracket, then you have your items, then you can have your arrow function. Like this, where you now have your code block of whatever I want to do within this circle of loops. So let's do that. So prices dot for each. So I'm going to put each here. That's what I usually use. So consider log each. So you notice I'm going to see the same of this, all of this. So you see that this one is somehow similar to this. Nice. So let's say I want to manipulate the array content before then, like make a new copy of the array, manipulate it, and save in a new array variable. So we can do that using our map. So the map is just like the for each. So we'll have let by 2. So this has to multiply by 2 be equal to prices dot map, then each, then return. So return each by 2. So if I do this and I do my console.log by 2, I'm going to see this. I'm going to see that This is now 24, just like that, just like that, just like that. So if I do that, I will see 24, 11 point this and this. So it multiplies everything by what? 2. And mind you, the prices array is not touched, so just makes a copy of it and returns it in a new array with the modification. So that is it for your map. Then the next one is your filter. So let's say I want to filter out all the number greater than 50. So I'll have let's greater than 50 should be equal to prices dot filter. So each, I usually like to use each. So each greater than or so less than or equal to 50. So no, we want to remove all of them that is greater than or equal to 50. So that is it. So consider log greater than 50. So I will have so what this will do is that it will filter out all the numbers that is not greater than what? 50. So all the ones that is greater than 50, it will put them inside this greater than 50. If I do that, I'm supposed to see 88, 77 and this. So that will be off the cliff. Okay, so that's what I have. So if I want it to be less than or equal to, I will change this sign here. Okay, so that is it for filter. So the next one is our sort. So the sort, you can use them to sort some alphabets. So remember that we have fruits. So if I do consider log fruit, so I did an array of fruits here recently. So fruit. So if I save there, I'm going to see what? Apple, banana and this. So let's assume I change this. Maybe I add a new one here. So let's say watermelon. So you know watermelon is not arranged in alphabetical order. So let's do that. So let's see how we use the sort. That so consider log. So it's a consider log fruit dot what dot sort, and that is it for alphabet. So to sort this now into apple, banana, orange and watermelon. So let's see how we can use this to sort I think that was ages or prices. So prices, if I do this, notice what will happen. I have 11, I have 12, so that means 33 is greater than this. So you notice that this normal sorting takes into account the first digit and arrange them, so whatever is in the second digit does not concern it. So in order to fix this bug, we're going to use the same sort, but now with what? With okay, still with the same sort, thought it was the old one. So bring out your this B, then we'll put here A, so you put here A minus B. So if you put this A minus B, it's going to do that in, I think, ascending order. So you're going to see it in the right order now. 5, 12, 17 this. So if you put B minus A, so you put here B, and you put A, so that means it's going to reverse this. So 3, 4, 5 will be the first. So now the last one for higher array method is this. So you notice that for higher array method, only the for each does not return an array of the copy of what, a new copy of an array, but from map, filter, sort, they return a new copy. So let's do the last one, which is our reduce. So reduce, so consider log. We have prices dot reduce. So we still have our dot A, B, then A plus equal to B. So this is a compound operator. So what it does is, this reduce now, its work is to compress everything inside the array to make it one value. So it's like summarizing the prices in a cart or counting numbers. Yeah, so if I do that, I will see the sum of all these numbers as one digit. You can also add to subtraction. So you're going to subtract until you have a negative value. Okay, there's no negative value. So if I have multiplication, so you're going to multiply until you're tired of multiplying. So you see. So that is it for the higher array method. So remember, we use map to modify the items of the array and save inside a new copy of an array. Filter to filter unwanted item. Sort to sort the arrays based on a criteria. Then the reduce to sum up. So that is it for this part of the video. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how the power of algorithm and how you can use that to tackle any problem that you have that is JavaScript related. So see you in that video.